What up, sluts? This is Taylor, and I'm answering some of your Twitter questions and addressing the topics that you gave me, as you should probably have inferred by now, on Twitter. And you're going to be watching some very awesome Ascension gameplay, and I am just counting the days until Black Ops 2 comes out, because I'm already so freaking bored of all these maps. I'm just really, really wanting them to come out. God, I'm going to have to break into their warehouse and steal it, and maybe that'll involve killing 2 or 3 guards, but I can live with myself. That's not the end of the world. It's the end of their world, but not my world, and that's what matters. Anyway, let's go on to the questions, and what else did you guys sent me? Spencer Brown, 08. Have you gotten into any fights? Sorry if you've already answered this, thanks. Well, Spencer Brown, 08. I may have answered this before, but I've never been in a straight-up fist fight, just duking it out with some other dude, or a lady for that matter, because I don't discriminate. Equal rights means equal fights. So, but I have gotten in fights in ice hockey. I used to play ice hockey, if I haven't brought that up. I'm pretty sure I have, but to new subscribers, maybe you didn't know that. And what makes it a little bit more interesting is the fact that I played goalie, and so it takes quite a bit to be in a fight as a goalie, and I never got in a fight with the other goalie. Like, that would take way too much effort, and be like, all right, we're going to skate down here, start duking it out, and then have to skate all the way back in shame and be like, oh shit, sorry whole team, I got kicked out, and you have to use that shitty backup goalie. But so yeah, I did that. I also threw a few dirty hits when they would get in my crease, their offensemen, and I would be really pissed about that. And so I'd take a little bit of the edge on my stick, where if you know what a goalie stick looks like, it's kind of sharp, and just slam that down on their ankle, give them a nice 1-2 punch, and they never come back after that. They learn their lesson right quick. So sorry if that was disappointing, but that's my fighting experience. It's relegated to the hockey rink. And the next one, JD Kills 6698. If you were to murder someone, how would you go about doing it? I haven't put I'm not going to lie. I have put a lot of thought into this. So, but every time I think about it, I always want to go back to the Mr. Brooks scenario, which, if you haven't seen, Mr. Brooks is a movie about a serial killer, and he goes into his victims' rooms like while they're doing something or cleaning or having sex, or I think it's pretty much always having sex, and he has a plastic bag over his hand and the gun so that the expelled shell is going to get caught there, and I think he uses like a different gun every time, a different, like a weird kind of untraceable round or something, which I don't know where I would find that, but I'll talk to FPS Russia, get that shit mailed to me, and then he always wears really cool leather stuff so that he doesn't leave fingerprints anywhere, and he doesn't get blood splatter, and it's really cool. And mainly, it's not so much the effectiveness of how he looks doing it. It's just I look at him and I'm like, oh man, that guy's a cold mofo. He doesn't give a shit, and he's got his plastic bag around his gun. But as far as something else, I guess it would go for the standard of I would stab them with an icicle just because they couldn't do anything. But that's lame. I wouldn't want to do that. I would want to hire first one of the people who shape ice into different shapes, clearly. And I would hire him, have him make me a huge, like, claymore, like a giant sword like Braveheart had that was really sharp and awesome and just incredible. Throw that in a big freezer, keep that there for about a month or 2 months. And of course, I'd have to kill the guy who made the sword because I don't want him going to tell someone else about it. So I'd kill him, throw him in a bathtub full of lime, no big deal. He's not the murderer I'm concerned about. And then I would go up to whoever I wanted to murder in the middle of the night, like alone on the street, and I'd just behead them with an ice sword, and then I could just drop the ice sword and bada bing, get away scot-free, as long as I remembered to wear my super special gloves and incinerate everything I was wearing, and not leave any hair on the scene. Make sure I have some sort of hair in it. Jesus Christ, I sound like a lunatic right now. All right, so thank you for making me sound like that, JD Kill. Next one. Another one about murder. Jesus Christ. The Doyle 91, murder 5 and get away, or murder 1 and be known for it. If it was murder 1 and that one person was like a horrible African dictator, like an evil despot who was ruling people under an iron fist, then hell yeah, I'd rather be known for that. So that's my choice. I found a little loophole there. I'm not going to be killing, little Susie up the street and going to jail when people know about it. I'm going to go use my one murder very effectively. Going to kill some evil guy up there. Next one. Nate Yagrady. If you could switch out one of your siblings for a sibling in a movie, who would it be? That is a very, very interesting proposition. I haven't put any thought into this whatsoever. A sibling in a movie. It's weird because it doesn't seem like siblings are like the centerpiece of movies. It seems like there's always the protagonist, and then if there are some ancillary characters, then they're kind of just in the background, But, I guess I would want Louis Stevens from Even Stevens, because I know Shia LaBeouf was trending on Twitter today, and even though Transformers sucked, a giant robot wiener, and everybody hated it who has half a brain, he was funny. He was funny in Even Stevens. You can't deny him that. I thought he was great, and so was Ren. I mean, if I switched her, I mean, she's really hot now. Would that mean that she became my sister, or that she like just lived at my house and wasn't my sister, and I just traded a sibling for her? Because if that's the case, I want to get on that train, mofo. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, so that was a difficult question to answer. Good for you, Nate DeGrady. Next person. Titus Sean, how would you react to a Chinese bank robbery? Is this if I'm in a bank and a bunch of Chinese people run in and start robbing it, or is this if I'm in a Chinese bank and people run in and start robbing it? Because if I was in a Chinese bank and a bunch of people who ran in, they were Chinese as well, started robbing it, I don't speak Mandarin or anything, so I just have to sit there and be like, oh God, please don't ask me any questions, please don't ask me any questions. But knowing those crazy Chinamen, they would come over and blow my head off if I didn't answer. So that would be a bad situation. I'd probably have to break out my ice sword and deal with it that way, assuming it gets to the point where I carry that around regularly. Hope that answered your question, which I know it didn't. All right. The Zephyr Storm. How do you feel about most people's opinions on communism? I have mixed feelings. It's a nice concept, but removes effort. I agree with you as well. I mean, on a purely idealistic from a purely idealistic perspective, it makes sense. It's a good idea, but that when you take away and you fail to account for human nature, where all of us are striving for more and trying to get from other people, just because we're naturally envious, jealous little bastards running around this rock trying to take as much from each other and just maximize our own pleasure, because who gives a damn about that pleasure or the pain of other people as long as me and my ilk are happy? And so I failed to take that into account, in addition to the fact that people usually aren't going to be complacent enough to want to do that, because you have to have some incentive to succeed. So of course there is middle ground between just ridiculous 100% free market capitalism and communism, but I really don't know where I fall along that spectrum. Probably much closer to free market, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I'm no economist or, political analyst. I am not the person to ask. Go read a book, sir. ZPD 199. What is your opinion on the Jerry Sandusky molestation case? I honestly don't know shit about it. I know that this old coach got in trouble for raping a kid, and then some other guy saw him raping the kid and just kept it on the hush-hush, which I heard some people saying, like, that guy who didn't say anything is just as culpable as the guy who was doing the raping, which I can admit that the guy who saw it and didn't say anything, yeah, that's messed up. He should have said something, but I can understand. He was worried about losing his job. He was worried about being probably blackballed from the industry, and that's probably all he knew how to do, whatever he was doing at the time there. But at the same time, you can't even begin to compare and say that the person who, it's like saying, oh, I witnessed a murder and I didn't get out and jump in front of the bullet, therefore I'm just as guilty of the murder as the other guy. Like, it doesn't make sense. Clearly the person who's, pulling the trigger or pumping the hips at the end of the day is the one who's going to be the most responsible, clearly. And I think that goes without saying. All right. J Henderson 13. What is your favorite zombies map of all time? This changes all the time, honestly, but I think it's going to be consistent to say Dare Reese or Dare Rice or Dare Riese. See, I say it in ways that I'm 100% sure that's not pronounced right, and so then people will be like, that's not how you say it. And meanwhile, their comment has like 3 typos and a 0 used in the 2. But whatever. Doesn't matter. Good for them. I guess I don't want to leave it at that. Second favorite, right now, it's probably Ascension, but that is tossed around quite a bit. ABH Palestine, for the millionth time, speak about the Palestine-Israel conflict. I don't know a ton about it. What I do know is that every year the U.S. grants like a $10 billion loan to Israel, like in their effort to control the West Bank, whatever the hell they do with it, and then that loan is forgiven, so we're essentially just giving money to Israel hand over fist just because there are so many conservatives here who somehow think that it's our sworn duty as a quote-unquote Christian nation to protect Israel from all its attackers, which is really silly to me. It doesn't really make sense. But, I don't know enough about it. I'm not educated enough on the subject to really give a cogent answer. So if I offended someone with that answer, please straighten me out. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. But that's all I have to say for now. Hope you guys enjoy these little videos that I'm doing. So please leave a rating if you did, and leave a rating in the opposite direction if you did not, because I don't really give a shit. Go ahead and do that for fun. I don't mind. It's a party. Maybe it'll look better if the bar is a little bit more red and a little bit less green. Try and get a little bit more Christmas feel up in this bitch. So that's it, and I love you.